All right. So number 9 is multi-revolution question. If you combine your like terms, I'm going to move this over. This gives me -3. So I subtracted 2 on both sides. I subtracted a cos 3x on both sides. And if I want to get the cos 3x by itself, I could divide both sides by 4, and then that would give me that cos 3x is equal to -3/4. Now this isn't on our pie plate. We know that our question here is in radians, so we're going to need to find a reference angle. Our reference angle, if we do cos inverse of 3/4, again, when we find a reference angle, we use positive values. I'm going to write my reference angle like this, because it's a reference angle for 3x. Okay? My reference angle is 0.723 if I round to 3 decimal places. Now, what have we done with our multi-revolution questions? We solved between 0 and 2 pi first. So if I want to solve between 0 and 2 pi, that means that 3x's would be between 0 and 6 pi, 3 times around. Now we're looking for where cos is negative. According to our cast rule, cos is negative in quadrants 2 and 3. So in quadrant 2, I would go pi minus my reference angle, and I would get 2.41. And in quadrant 3, I would go pi plus my reference angle and get 3.86. Well, 2.42 if I round correctly. That's the first time around. The second time around, I'd have to take 2.42 and add 2 pi. That will give me 8.70. And if I take 3.86 and add 2 pi, that'll give me 10.1. That's the second time around. The third time around, so just, can you see that I went from here to here? I added 2 pi. From here to here, I added 2 pi, which is 6.28. Just did that on my calculator. And the third time around, I'll take that 8.7 and I'll add 2 pi. That gives me 14.98. .99 actually, if I round correctly. And finally, the 10.14 plus 2 pi gives me 16.4. So those are our 6 answers between 0 and 6 pi. Now, if we want to find our answers between 0 and 2 pi, we'd have to divide each of those by 3. Okay? All right, so dividing each of them by 3. It is a lot of work, and it is a lot of work because we're dealing with decimals here, which makes it more tedious. .38, almost done. So now all 6 of those answers are between 0 and 2 pi, between 0 and 6.28. Yes?
How do you do it within the domain that the question asks?
We'll get to the domain that the question asks. As far as our general solution is, because the question asked for the general solution. Aren't you, you are just, you sound like you're having so much fun and enjoying this so much. There we go. This is part A.
How can you reasonably include this on like a test or quiz?
So,
One question. Alone is like one question. This is one question. We should get paid.
there we go.
Get paid for this.
There's our general solution. Now, if we wanted to solve this one in the domain that they ask for, because we first found the general solution, now we're asking for between negative pi and 0. Yes?
Can we just put like 2k pi where we put all the where we put k's eggs? That'll be like what do you
No, do it for each one.
No, wait, are you serious?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay? They want to find the answers between negative pi and 0, right? Which ones are those going to be? Can you see that that's going to be in quadrant 3 and 4? Which are the ones in quadrant 3 and 4? That's this one, and this one. I know that because they have to be past 3.14 in the positive direction. Now, how do we write each of those? We would have to subtract 2 pi from each of them. Okay? If you subtract 2 pi from each of them, we will get negative 0.806, negative 1.28, and negative 2.90. And those are the answers between negative pi and 0. Not too bad, eh? And then part B. So for part B, I think I showed it to you before, but I'm going to show you the shortcut for the general solution. Okay? Because how many answers did we get when it was 3 times around the circle? 6. How many answers? How many answers are we going to get when it's a 4x? 8. So we could we could quit because you guys are perfectly fine with just doing one question. Or I could show you the shortcut again. Okay? Yes. Yeah, I'll make it on video. Okay? So the shortcut again for this one, we will combine your like terms. So you get 5 sine 4x equals 3. Divide both sides by 5. And you get sine 4x equals 3/5. You find your reference angle, sine inverse of 3/5. Our reference angle is 0.643. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to write my 2 answers, one in quadrant 1, which is 0.644, and my 1 in quadrant 2, which will be pi minus my reference angle, 2.50. And I'm going to just solve the general solution right away, as if it was just a theta question. But instead of a theta question, what is it? It's a 4x question. It's a multi-revolution. So then if I wanted to solve for x, I would have to divide each of those by 4. So I take my first answer and divide it by 4. And I get 0.161. And I would have to divide the 2k pi also by 4. 2.5 divided by 4. I should use all the decimal places, yes. Well, my reference angle was 0.644. So then it's positive, so sine is positive also in quadrant 2. So I did pi minus 0.644 to get my angle in quadrant 2, which was 2.5. Divided that by 4, you get 0.625. Divide the 2k pi by 4. And that's a little bit shorter. And we're done. Saves more trees. Yes. Yeah, you could reduce this to k pi over 2, yeah.